I think that building a mindset here really matters so much more than the practical strategies. Like, look, I could give you a ton of different practical strategies for building an online training business. Like, all of them will be good, and none of them will make a difference if you don't nail this mindset part. If you don't actually take action on them.
Hello and welcome to It's Possible, Conversations with Successful Online Trainers, the #1 show for trainers who want to hear the real-life stories, strategies, and step-by-step advice from others just like them already successfully building their online fitness business. Now, I'm Jonathan Goodman, founder of the Personal Trainer Development Center and the Online Trainer Academy, and I wanted to just give you a quick gift if you're new here. Just go to onlinetrainer.com/intro, or if you're in the United States, text PTDC to 444-999 to claim it. Awesome. Let's get into today's show.
So what I want to talk to you today is about building an unbeatable business mindset. You know, Cummings once said, at the end of the day, you are solely responsible for your success and your failure. And the sooner you realize that, you accept that, and integrate that into your work ethic, you will start being successful. As soon as you blame others for the reason that you aren't where you want to be, you will always be a failure. I absolutely love that quote, because the truth is, beginners complicate and experts simplify. You got to remember that. You got to read it. You got to learn it. You got to live that. It's a simple truth that veteran trainers see over and over and over again. Your mind messes with you. Maybe you know that already, but if you can improve your business mindset, learn stronger ways to make decisions, you will improve your chances at success. Now, this is what I want to talk to you about today, and I want to give you some practical solutions to do this, and also show you the biggest place where people screw up. Now, obviously you want to execute like an expert, but there's a lot of newer trainers that fall back on human instinct, which in most instances, to be honest, shows up as fear, hesitation, and overanalyzing. You might think that you're being cautious and intuitive, but in reality, you're worrying about the wrong things. So let's talk first about mindset and making confident decisions. You know, you got to think about what's really holding you back. Don't come down with analysis paralysis. This is a beginner trait. The fact is, most of the decisions you have to make are actually pretty simple. By agonizing over every insignificant dissimilarity of each business component along the way, you put yourself in quicksand that will pull you down every single day, keeping you from moving forward. You know, I get this question all the time, like, what's going on and why does this happen to so many trainers? Well, let's simplify it. Trainers don't think about what their clients truly need, and they fear the unknown. Think about it. Right? What do your clients really need? Don't mix this with what you think your clients need. Many trainers simply don't understand what stepping stones will lead them to their ultimate goal. As a result, every decision becomes a world hanging in the balance, critical in their mind. Every decision requires time and thought, and in reality, you should make decisions quickly and never think about them again. Why? Because they probably aren't as crucial as you think. You know, this is one of the questions that we hear in our group all of the time, right? One of the most pondered and discussed topics of all time for online training. Every single day we hear, what online training software is the best, or what's the difference between software X and software Y, when both provide the same essential services. We've seen trainers take months testing out different softwares, dwelling on every minor discrepancy between them. Experts simplify. Try this. ID 3 things you need your software to do. Like, don't even look at software yet, right? Don't even think about what the names are, what the companies are. I mean, this is coming from a guy, keep in mind, I've been an advisor, I've advised almost every major software company out there, right? And my advice to you is don't even think about softwares yet. You first got to define a problem. Right? How do you possibly attempt to solve a problem, i.e. the problem here, what's the best software, what's the best approach for your business? How do you possibly attempt to solve that problem before you know what the problem is? So remove yourself from the situation, define it. What are 3 things you need software to do? Cool, write that down. Now you pick a software that does those things and you never think about it again. Now you might be thinking right now, like, that's too fast, this might not work, and what if it's the wrong choice, or what will happen, and this is crazy and we're moving too fast. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, you're probably going to discover some things about the software you choose that bug you. You know what? They ain't going to ruin your business, and they're not going to keep your clients from coming back. Take the time to understand what you and your clients actually need, and filter out all of your decisions through that. Now, look, don't get me wrong. If you're already using a software program, stick with it. Don't even look at other options. What you have now is good enough, I promise. You've got more important things to do. The second biggest thing is like, what are you afraid of? I talk about this all the time. I get interviewed about this all the time. It often comes back down to fear. Now, fear is nothing but an irrational response to the unknown. And oftentimes it's that fear of the unknown, of that next step, that forces us into unnecessary analysis. In that regard, fear is very much a choice. And why would you give it that much power over you? To drive away fear, to eliminate fear from your life, you've got to make the unknown known. You've got to define the unknown. So in this example, in the software example, which is ridiculous because it seems to me like it's one of those things that is just really easy to overthink. And because it's so easy to overthink, it's a very convenient place to procrastinate. Because it's very easy to justify to yourself that you're working, that you're trying to find the best solution, when really all that you're doing is just putting off doing anything that actually matters to move your business forward. So in this example, pick the software that has the major qualities you need and move on. Because all that you're doing when you're picking your 3 things that you need your software to do, you're making the unknown known. You don't lose valuable time wandering in the forest as a result of this, fearful of what will happen next and hoping for an answer when you have the power to leave. Really, whenever you want. I mean, I can just keep going with this with more tools for a mindset, because I think that building a mindset here really matters so much more than the practical strategies. Like, look, I could give you a ton of different practical strategies for building an online training business. Like, all of them will be good, and none of them will make a difference if you don't nail this mindset part, and if you don't actually take action on them. Because most things that you actually come across, even if you're Googling looking at free information, like, most of that stuff is probably good enough. There's a million ways to skin a cat here with this online training game. That's the secret that nobody tells you. So what are some more tools for an unbeatable mindset? Like, think about it, going back to when Thomas Edison worked on some shiny new thing. One of the things that he would do, which was really neat, is he'd actually alert the press before the invention was finished. Like, he would literally tell the press and make press releases and tell the newspaper that he had finished something before he figured out how to make it work. Because that created a deadline for himself. If he knew that the newspaper was going to run an article on something that he supposedly invented, he better go out and invent that thing. This put Edison in a position to either take action and justify the excitement he's created, or tarnish his trust and reputation. And so, obviously, he worked his butt off trying to create this thing. That's one way to push yourself to perform. You got to get your mind out of the way so that you can just get the job done. Like, look, we've got a whole bunch of effective strategies for this, and I want to talk you through just a few of them right now. But basically, telling people that something is going to come before you're ready to do it is actually a really effective strategy, because accountability moves you forward. Like, who better to hold you accountable than the people you're selling to? What would happen? Let's just do a thought experiment for a second. What would happen if you announced your new program to your audience, and you actually sold your new program to your audience a few weeks before it's ready, and you started signing people up? Don't you think that would remove your safety net? And as a result of removing your safety net there, it would give you 2 options. You would have to take action and deliver on your word and take imperfect action, or not. You see, it's easy to wait until things are perfect before taking action on them. The problem is that things will never be perfect, and this mindset will keep you revisiting and rethinking and retooling your business to oblivion. The next thing you got to do, you got to learn empathy in this day and age. I can't think of a more important skill. And take this from a guy who is not naturally empathetic. It's kind of a joke with our team that I've had to force myself to learn empathy almost from like a textbook. And I feel like empathy is kind of the opposite thing that you should learn from a textbook. It's kind of like the opposite definition of it, but it's so important that I've taken, even though it doesn't come naturally to me, that I've tried to really figure out what it is. Empathy keeps your focus on where it needs to be, which is on your clients. Imagine what they're going through, how they feel, what's motivating them at every stage of the game. Like, what is their emotional response to everything they see from you, from their perspective?
Hey, real quick, I know you're into this episode, but I wanted to let you know that if you want to get started with online coaching, then I have a free gift for you. It's a free 3-day course, and in it, you'll learn the core truths guaranteed to get you online fitness clients. You can register with your email at onlinetrainer.com/intro, or if you're in the United States, Simply text PTDC to 444-999. Thanks. Now back to the show.
Even the most logical, rational human beings are driven by emotion. Clients will respond to you based on what they feel, not what they or you know. Like, you got to connect on that level and gain their trust. Once you have that, most of the little stuff stops mattering now. Let's speak about the little stuff a little bit. Now, if you take away one big thing from what I'm saying here, it's to never let the micro drive the macro. This is big. The vast majority of beginning trainers I communicate with daily, they're just fumbling through and fretting over decisions that are significant to them, but completely insignificant to their clients. Cannot stress this enough. These are the micro decisions that require minimal thought, time, and energy. Like we talked about software earlier. Micro decisions take your focus away from the big picture and from what truly matters. Macro decisions, on the other hand, have to serve as the foundation of your business. Right? These are the overarching fundamental characteristics of your services that keep clients coming back for years. Macro requires you to step back and view your dilemma through a wider lens. Macro issues truly do matter to your clients, and that's where you need to allocate your resources. So let's just give a couple examples real quick. Like, what's the difference between a micro and a macro problem? Here's some examples. Like, micro problems are things like business names. Right? What's your business name? What's a logo? What's the color scheme of your website? What's the hottest new exercise? Like, do you really think it matters to your client whether they do a single leg squat with a curtsy and a twist going down into a sit up as a combination exercise, or they sit up and down 10 times on a chair with a bar on their back? Like, it doesn't matter to them what they're doing, right? They want to get results and they want to keep safe. So then talk about the macro problems, right? The really important problems. We're talking client goals, client trust, clients receiving value for price, and of course your reputation. Because at the end of the day, that's all you have. People can take away everything you have. People can take away your business. Facebook can change its algorithm. The stock market can crash and you lose your money, or whatever. There are so many things outside of your control. The one thing that is in your control, that is the most valuable commodity you could ever own, is your reputation. Like, that's a macro goal. That's where you've got to be focusing your time. Now, you've got to see the macro behind all of the micro. Like what if you feel like you have a handle on the macro, but you're overwhelmed by wave after wave after wave after wave of micro? Like, can that even be a thing? Theoretically, yes, but in practice, almost never. At the Online Trainer Academy, our coaches are actually trained to see past the superficial and look for the deeper question a student is asking, because the reality of it is, look, we've coached thousands of people. We've helped tens of thousands of trainers in 83 countries do this thing and transition to online training. And one of the things that we've learned is the question asked is almost never the actual question. And that's simply because trainers have, this online training thing is a new business opportunity. It's not that well understood for people kind of outside of our circle, because it just hasn't been around for enough years. And so a lot of people who want to transition into it simply don't know what questions to ask, but they're scared of taking action. So they feel like they should ask a question. But what they haven't done is they haven't defined the root problem. Now, defining the root problem almost always provides better results. But a lot of the trainers that come to us, they're stuck, they feel overwhelmed, and they're frustrated, and they're not making progress. And the reason for that is simply that they're thinking in the micro and missing the macro. And that comes down to fear, which comes down to a lot of the time a lack of understanding and a lack of really, really, really saying, okay, what's important, what's not important. And it feels like you're almost missing something, right? Because there's a lot of people selling this opportunity to you, making you think that it's a lot more complicated than it is. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of things that you need to know, but what matters is that you take imperfect action with some sort of a blueprint, and then you have a series of mentors and coaches that you actually trust. Like, I'm not talking about free people in a Facebook group that probably know less than you two, but are very willing to offer you advice. You can't get much good from that. You can just get more questions and procrastinate more. What I'm talking about is a group of mentors who have actually done this thing, who have worked with a lot of people, proven in the real world, who are there for you altruistically, want you to have success because your success is their success, and they actually know what the path is, or they understand that there isn't really a straight path, but they know how to work with you and coach with you to figure out what the path is for you. Take, for example, one of our students, Jim Hart. He's an online trainer academy student, or alumni now in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And he actually registered for the course after 25 years working with clients in person. Like this guy, Jim is an experienced personal trainer. I mean, the personal training in itself is not an old profession. Like there aren't that many trainers out there who have been doing it for 25 years. Jim had been doing it for 25 years. He knew what he was doing. Still, soon after he joined OTA, he emailed us with just a plethora of pressing micro decisions. You know, from the name of his new online training business to how to enable notifications in Google Drive. Jim just got bogged down by the little things, and he actually, I mean, it was crazy. Alex, who's our head coach, he's in charge of all of our coaches and mentors, and helps train them and work with them so that they can better work with their students. Like, he told me this. He said, Jim finished his email asking, "What do you suggest? Can I still be successful as an online trainer?" So think about that for a second. Jim had been training clients for 25 years, but because he didn't know how to, or because he was unsure about the naming of his business and how to enable notifications in Google Drive, he thought that he couldn't be successful as an online trainer. Micro decisions add up. Jim got to the point of questioning his path. But honestly, all that Jim needed to do was see that all of these little micro stressors just come down to the macros of fear and forgetting what matters most to clients, which is investing your time and energy and money into providing the highest quality of service. Like, of course, after a couple of back and forth emails with our coaches, Jim was right back on track. But the truth is, a lot of online trainers don't have coaches in their corner who understand these things. You know, they'll just give them kind of more things to do. And look, I'm not saying that you should ignore the micros. Like, they do add up. You've got to deal with these things. But in general, your clients won't care about them. So fix what needs to be fixed. But don't give micros any more time than they deserve. Like, if you've ever worked for a micromanager, you know what it's like to die a workday death of 1,000 microcuts. Like, you know, the Chinese even have a term for this. It's called linqi. It translates to slow process or lingering death. And it's actually more popularly known as death by 1,000 cuts. It was a form of torture and execution in China from around 900 to 1905 CE when it was banned. Like, why would you do that to yourself? You know, if any component of your training is causing you or your clients regular headaches, like, yeah, of course, it's worth spending your time to shop around and switch things up, but beware trying to find the mysterious best what have you, or geeking out on some way to present your programs that you care about but won't matter in the slightest to your clients. Like, that way lies madness. You know, I always think about this friend of mine. He's a world-class expert in developing learning models, right? This guy's one of the best educators I know. And he wanted to, like an academic educator, right? So he wanted to learn how to play guitar. So naturally, as a learning expert, as somebody who professes to be a learning expert, he set out to build a model for how to do it best. Makes sense? Here's the thing. 6 months later, he realized that he had yet to pick up a single guitar and strum a single chord. Like, in his words, this isn't even my words, in his words, if I had walked to the closest music store, bought the cheapest guitar, and Googled a free guitar tutorial, I would be 6 months ahead of where I am right now. Think about that. Think about that when you're trying to figure out the best software before you start. I mean, everybody deals with this. Like, you're not alone, but at one point you've got to just get going. You've got to establish, okay, what are my must-haves here? Okay, got it. Move. Just freaking move. One of the best tools that we've come across this to unstick your brain and move you forward is something called the 10-10-10 rule. Really puts everything in perspective. And I want to leave you with this. The concept was first created by business journalist and author Susie Welch. It's used across a ton of industries because it's just, it has this global application. So let's say that you're dealing with any of the issues we've been talking about, right? You're taking too long with a choice and you know it, because I'm sure as I'm talking about this right now, as I'm talking through it, you're like, yeah, man, like that's me. You got it. You got me, John. Like, because I know when I'm talking about this, I can think about areas in my life where I'm dealing with this. So it's time for some perspective, right? First, you got to identify the worst case scenario that could result from you taking action. This could range from, not much or whatever it is to like, I'll lose my business. So like, be honest with yourself. Once you've done that, I want you to ask 3 questions, right? Question number 1, how will I feel about this 10 minutes from now? Okay. Question number 2, how will I feel about this 10 months from now? And then question number 3, how will I feel about this 10 years from now? When you do this simple exercise, the 10-10-10 rule, your answers will help you realize whatever's weighing you down probably isn't as life-changing as you think. Now, on the flip side, I want you to think of the best possible outcome that could happen to all these things and ask yourself the same 3 questions. What you'll notice very quickly is that many of the stressors, many of these micro things delaying you, have a disproportionately high reward relative to risk when you take action. Right? But what you're doing when you talk yourself into a corner and not taking action is you're not getting that advantage. Like this is what I want to leave you with. It's action that matters. It's imperfect action that matters. It's recognizing the difference between the micro and the macro decisions and just keeping everything in perspective. So I hope that was super helpful for you today, and I hope that really cleared stuff up and helps you take at least one major step forward. And if all that just does is help you with that, then I'm a happy guy. So thank you for listening.
Hey, it's Jonathan Goodman again, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for carving out the time to listen to this episode. If you did find it helpful, then please share it with another trainer you care about and want to see become successful. Also, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already so every podcast gets sent straight to you and you don't have to go searching for it. And hey, you made it to the end, so first, I hope you took away at least one key lesson you can use in your journey. And finally, don't forget about the free course I prepared for you where you'll learn the core truths guaranteed to get you more online fitness clients. If you haven't already registered, either enter your email at onlinetrainer.com/intro, or if you're in the United States, simply text PTDC to 444-999. So again, thanks for listening, and we'll talk soon.